Nintendo Virtual Boy is certainly the biggest flop the company has ever had. It was released in July of 1995 and discontinued just 5 months later. The technology was created by Reflection Technology and later purchased by Nintendo, where Gunpei Yokai further developed the system into a consumer product. It had a 32-bit processor and a pair of linear arrays to create 2 images in order to simulate 3D. Of course, those images are in red in order to cut costs. The headpiece is bulky and meant to be played on a table, not strapped to your head. Definitely don't play it the way Keith Apicary does. The 3D effect is pretty impressive for the day, but the red images made people feel sick after extended play sessions. I've only ever played it once myself, and it was an interesting but uncomfortable experience. But I got to thinking about this. Are the games themselves any good? Why didn't Nintendo remaster some of the better games for the 3DS? I really want to know the answers to these questions, so with that said, I want to try every released Virtual Boy game along with some unreleased prototypes as well as some cool homebrews. But before we get started, let me give you the good news. I have changed the gameplay footage from red to monochrome, which is much easier on the eyes, so keep in mind what you're seeing here really should be in red. Let me just say, you're welcome. So let's go ahead and cover the North American games first, starting with 3D Tetris. In this game, you drop differently shaped blocks down a pit, and if you fill up a line, those blocks will disappear. You know, Tetris, but this is not really Tetris. This is really a copy of an earlier game called Blockout. There's 3 modes here: Center Fill, which I have no idea what I'm doing, 3D Tetris, which is the main game, and Puzzle, which I find to be kind of frustrating. The main game is fine, but the constantly changing perspective makes the game less than enjoyable. Also, the music is repetitive, but at least it's different for each mode. I really didn't care for this one. Galactic Pinball.
Welcome to Space World. Let's go.
Here we have a pinball-style game with 4 tables. It's different from normal pinball because you have a puck instead of a ball. Was the Virtual Boy unable to render a ball? Or maybe it was just easier to program with a puck, I don't know. The tables really don't feel like there's much on them, and the backgrounds are the same dull, boring Starfield. Really, you know, I'm not surprised this was so lackluster because this is a launch title. And, you know, it's not great, but I liked it for a few moments anyways. Golf. This is an overly complicated golf game that didn't need to be on a system like this. First of all, imagine this in red. Now look at it in green. It's just so much better that way. But even the better coloring doesn't help the gameplay. It's just so frustrating. I really don't get how T&E and Nintendo thought people could enjoy a game like this. I absolutely cannot stand this game. Dislike. Jack Brothers. In this maze-style game, you choose from 3 Jacks. Jack Frost, Jack Lantern, and Jack Skellington. Or Skeleton. Skeleton? Like Red Skeleton? Now I get it! Each of these Jacks has different attack styles. Frost throws snowballs. Lantern throws light. And Skeleton has a sword. All you need to do is defeat the enemies, find the keys, and jump down to the next level. Then you need to defeat the boss to get to the next stage. You know, I really like this game. It's got some fun music and enjoyable gameplay. I only wish that fairy would go away. Jeez, I could figure this out by myself. Stupid fairy. Love this game. Mario Clash. An arcade-style game similar to the original Mario Brothers, but only not really because you can't knock out the enemies by hitting them from below or jumping on them. Instead, you have to jump on a regular turtle and then throw that turtle at the other enemies. It's a little convoluted. Also, you have to go through the pipes to get to the other parts of the screen. Come on, man, I just want to jump over there. This is an okay game, but I think I'd rather play the original Mario Brothers. Mario Tennis. Was this game chosen as the pack-in because it kind of looks 3D? Or maybe because you can choose to play as the popular Nintendo characters? In any case, this is a basic tennis game where the perspective is directly behind your character. The music is repetitive, and I wish there was a way to turn it off. But the real problem of the game is the difficulty in hitting the ball. There's no spot on the ground that shows you where to stand, you just have to guess. I don't dislike this game. It's not terrible, but I don't love it either. Nestor's Funky Bowling. An easy-to-play bowling game starring Nintendo Power's Nestor character. Just line up the ball where you want it to go and hit the power meter at the right moment.
Split.
There's some fun animations during the game, but the announcer's voice is so freaking lame. It's even worse than mine. Why isn't Nestor commenting instead?
Miss.
Also, I can't play this game without thinking about this clip from the AVGN.
It's bowling. That's what it is. But I don't know what's so funky about it.
Split.
This is a relatively fun bowling game, and I like it. Panic Bomber. This is one of those drop 3 object puzzle games with a Bomberman theme. I really dislike these type of games. I just don't have the patience to try to match these objects up. It might have been better if this was in full color instead of red, but even in monochrome, this isn't a game that I enjoy. Red Alarm. A 3D shooter game that I guess is best described as a wireframe Star Fox in a cave. Just shoot everything to get to the end of the stage, which is all you gotta do. The funny thing is, the real enemy here of this game is the wireframe graphics that make it really difficult to figure out where you are. Come on, I know the Virtual Boy can do better than this. Or maybe they just didn't want to overwhelm the player with so many red walls, I don't know. Also, I find the music to be extremely annoying and repetitive. Please make it stop! Gameplay's okay, but man, this game feels more like it's torture. I don't really like it at all. Telero Boxer. This one could be best described as a 3D Rock'em Sock'em Robots boxing game. Basically, punch your opponent until they are destroyed. There might be some tells from your opponent like in Punch-Out, but I didn't notice any. Also, the second opponent was tough after he moved his head down to his belly. I couldn't get a single hit on him after that. No fair. Anyway, this one has some nice character graphics, but nothing at all for the backgrounds. Kinda disappointing. I do like this game, but I think there's just better boxing games out there. Vertical Force. Here we have a top-down shooting game where the gimmick is that your ship can move up and down in the stage. You have to be on the correct plane in order to hit enemy ships or turrets. There's a couple of different weapons that pop out, but none of them are all that great. This is a fairly decent but basic shooter game, and other than the annoying klaxon when you're about to die, I like this game. Virtual League Baseball. Another sports game for the Virtual Boy? Wow, they were struggling to come up with ideas for this system, huh? Also, another one where green would have been a better color. Okay, so you'd think that a virtual baseball game would have you play as the batter or as the pitcher, but no, this is just your standard subpar baseball game. Fielding is practically impossible when your players are so tiny on the screen. Also, the music doesn't work for this game. I just totally dislike this one. Waterworld. I would best describe this as a rear perspective defender game. You are the mariner cruising on his catamaran, shooting enemy jet skis and saving people floating in the water. And that's it. That's the whole game, and it's a terrible one all around. Maybe it would be better if the color was blue, but I don't think so. It would still be bad. Yeah, so I totally dislike this game. The movie's even better than this. Wario Land. Finally, we reached the pinnacle of Virtual Boy gaming. In this platform game, you play as Wario in search of treasure. You have a basic dash move to defeat enemies or smash blocks. You can also get special powers along the way to keep it fresh. Also, if you step on certain tiles, you can move into the screen. I find that to be kind of a neat mechanic. It's also important to smash every block possible because you need to find a key in order to advance to the next stage. The graphics and music are absolutely top-notch, and I really love how the background gives it a sense of 3D with that huge amount of parallax scrolling. This is so good! But the best part is how fun the gameplay is. Why this hasn't been ported to any other Nintendo system is baffling and kind of heartbreaking. This game should be played by more than just a handful of Virtual Boy owners. I absolutely love this one. Alright, next we have some games that only appeared in Japan, starting with Innsmouth no Yakata, which I think means the shadow over Innsmouth. It's a horror survival game where you play as a detective who is searching for the Necronomicon inside a monster-filled house. The atmosphere is very good. I was actually a little scared touring around this house expecting a monster to appear at just any moment. You can shoot them, but you have to manually aim your reticule on the screen in order to hit them. And, you know, that can take some precious seconds, giving the monster a chance to hit you. Fortunately, there's a map which keeps you from getting lost, which is perfect for people like me. I kinda like this game. SD Gundam Dimension War. This looks to be a turn-based strategy game based on the popular Gundam series. Normally I like these kind of games, but this one just didn't do it for me. Pretty sure Gundam would be better served by having an action game instead. Space Invaders Virtual Collection. A collection of 3, well, actually 1, type of Space Invaders games. The gameplay is the same no matter if you played in the 3D mode or the 2D mode. Basically, just shoot the enemy invaders, but don't forget your bottle of Shasta and All Rush mixtape. I normally like Space Invaders, but this game has no business being on the Virtual Boy. Dislike. Space Squash. In this game, you play as a robot hitting a ball towards your opponent in a 3D-esque environment. I've seen this game before as Super Glove Ball for the NES or Robo Squash for the Atari Lynx. But much like Mario Tennis, this game's biggest problem is not telling the player where to stand when hitting the ball. Graphics are minimal and the music is annoying. I don't care for this one. Virtual Bowling. Another bowling game? Okay. Well, this one isn't nearly as funky as the other one, though. It does look pretty cool, following the ball down the lane after you throw it. Unfortunately, this is one that I couldn't quite get the hang of lining up the ball or applying the proper power. Also, that voice is just creepy. What is that anyway? This one has some interesting graphics, but otherwise, I didn't care for it. Virtual Fishing. A fishing game that's totally in Japanese. I had no idea what I was doing here, so I just fumbled around until I got to the fishing scene. And then I didn't know what to do to catch the fish. I could cast my line and reel it in, but that was about it. This one definitely is not for me. Virtual Lab. This is a creepy puzzle game where you assemble pieces of an intestine. Once the pieces have created a closed intestine, they will disappear. You know, honestly, I don't know if I like this or not. It's easy to figure out and all. It's just so weird. Also, the music adds to the creepiness of it all. I'd really rather play this in silence. So, I guess I'll give it a like, but I wish the pieces were not so weird. V-Tetris. Now this is more like it. A Tetris game that actually plays like Tetris. And I couldn't help but notice that the music here is the same as Virtual League Baseball. Tetris is one of my all-time favorite games, and this one is good, but it's very basic. It doesn't seem to have any special modes like other Tetris games do. But I'll give this one a like because it's actually playable. Next we have a couple of prototype games that have been found, and 2 of them have ROMs. One of them is called Bound High. An action game where you look down and bounce on enemies. You have to be careful to bounce on a platform or an enemy or you'll fall off and you'll have to start over. I like the music and gameplay on this one. Not bad. Nico-chan Battle. This is more commonly known as Faceball 2000 or Mini Maze. It's basically a rudimentary Doom deathmatch game where you roam a maze and shoot your opponents. I like the 3D look of the walls here. Now there's 2 other known prototype games that don't have ROMs. One of them is called Dragon Hopper, and the other one is Zero Racers. Next we have a bunch of homebrew games that look kind of interesting. Check these out. Blocks 2 is a push-the-box puzzle game. Capitan, a screen-by-screen platform game. Capitan Sevilla 3D, a more advanced scrolling platform game. Castle of Doom is a basic platform game. Doom, which doesn't really do very much. Dungeon Crawler, which is a maze game. Elevated Speed is a pretty cool racing game with Mode 7 style graphics. Fishbone, a simple fish-eating simulator. Hunter is a very cool 3D game where you can drive a car or a boat. I really like this one. It reminded me of many Atari ST games back in the day. Hyper Fighting is a Super Street Fighter 2 clone with some good graphics and some really messed up sound. Insecticide, a one-on-one fighting game with insects. Mario Kart Virtual Cup, an early version of the popular kart racer. Snatcher, an excellent cyberpunk novel game. This looks really good. Sonic, an example of a Sonic game, but it doesn't do very much. Star Fox is a basic 3D shooter. Looks to be in the early stages. Tron, a cool light cycle game, but it's really the accurate music that I like the best about this one. View Snake, a basic eat the apple snake game. View Engine Platformer, a great platform game with cool graphics and great controls. Okay, well there you have it, a bunch of Virtual Boy games. Some of them I'm sure you didn't even know existed. So what do you think about this system? Should Nintendo create a Virtual Boy collection for the Switch? Let me know down in the comments. Until then, thank you for watching, take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye everyone.